Hello, Julian here. This is episode 1 of Reflections on Fromm. In our Fromm class at Miami Valley School, we're looking at Erich Fromm's works, such as Man for Himself, and trying to apply them to modern society. Today, we're going to talk about attitudes on selfishness in human society. Modern culture is pervaded by a taboo on selfishness. We are taught that to be selfish is sinful, and that to love others is virtuous. To be sure, this doctrine is in flagrant contradiction to the practice of modern society, which holds the doctrine that the most powerful and legitimate drive in man is selfishness, and that by following this imperative drive the individual makes his best contribution to the common good. Now so more than ever, selfishness has become part of the modern economy and even the modern lifestyle. But the doctrine which declares selfishness to be the arch-evil and love for others to be the greatest virtue is still powerful. Selfishness is used here almost synonymously with self-love. The alternative is to love others, which is a virtue, or to love oneself, which is a sin. This principle has found its classic expression in Calvin's theology, according to which man is essentially evil and powerless. Man can achieve absolutely nothing that is good on the basis of his own strength or merit. "We are not our own," says Calvin. "Therefore neither our reason nor our will should predominate in our deliberations and actions. We are not our own, therefore let us not propose it as our end to seek what may be expedient for us according to the flesh. We are not our own, therefore let us as far as possible forget ourselves and all things that are ours. On the contrary, we are God's, for him therefore let us live and die. For, as it is the most devastating pestilence which ruins people if they obey themselves, it is the only haven of salvation not to know or to want anything by oneself, but to be guided by God who walks before us." Man should have not only the conviction of his absolute nothingness, but he should do everything to humiliate himself. "For I do not call it humility if you suppose that we have anything left. We cannot think of ourselves as we ought to think without utterly despising everything that may be supposed to be an excellence in us. This humility is unfeigned submission of a mind overwhelmed with a weighty sense of its own misery and poverty, for such is the uniform description of it in the Word of God." This emphasis on the nothingness and wickedness of the individual implies that there is nothing he should like and respect about himself. The doctrine is rooted in self-contempt and self-hatred. Calvin makes this point very clear. He speaks of self-love as a pest. If the individual finds something on the strength of which he finds pleasure in himself, he betrays this sinful self-love. This fondness for himself will make him sit in judgment over others and despise them. Therefore, to be fond of oneself or to like anything in oneself is one of the greatest sins. It is supposed to exclude the love of others and to be identical with selfishness. The view of man held by Calvin and Luther has been of tremendous influence on the development of modern Western society. They laid the foundations for an attitude in which man's own happiness was not considered to be the aim of life, but where he became a means, an adjunct, to the ends beyond him, of an all-powerful God, or of the not less powerful secularized authorities and norms, the state, business, success. Isn't it crazy that so many years after Fromm wrote this book, "Don't be selfish" is still one of the stock ideas promulgated in home, school, motion pictures, books, and indeed all instruments of social suggestion as well? And yet while many, as Nietzsche did, believe that there is a contradiction between love for others and love for oneself, Fromm argues that this is a false dichotomy which can be overcome. That concludes this week's episode of Reflections on Fromm. If you liked this video, why don't you check out some of the other students' responses on the YouTube channel? Farewell, and see you next time!